I'm going to talk to you now about how my filming went when I filmed all my scenes. The first scene that I filmed was the scene when the stalker is sitting on the bench in amongst some bushes and the girl is walking her dog. I thought this went really well considering it was my first time filming. I did several positions where she stood and then I did several zooms to him as he was reading the newspaper, just so I can make sure I get all the right ones and so I can put together the continuity of it. The man is sitting reading a newspaper and his paper was up so you couldn't see higher than here, and I thought this was a cliche and a typical convention of a thriller, a psychological thriller, and a convention of stalkers. And he's wearing this jumper in the trailer throughout, so that you will identify with him and think, oh, I've seen him before, and so you know to look out for him as the antagonist in the film. The other scenes I shot later that day were the knocking on the door scene, and this scene was quite easy. The light in my house at the time was really good, and the front door we have is a misty glass, so you can't see any detail but you can see a figure, and that created a really good effect. And it didn't take many shots rather, and walked up to open the door, and then I stopped it at a point when I then went outside to open the door, and you see her saying, "I'm sorry, who are you?" And then I used a camera as handheld and followed him like that as he walked away to give him a creepy effect of stalker, really. So it's almost like someone stalking him, so role reversal. And I made sure to keep with continuity that her coat wasn't on, so it looked like she'd been at home. And underneath our radiator in that hallway we have like shoes of all our family members, so I got rid of those to make it look like she was the only one who lived there, so it was, you know, for the trailer purpose. Also in the same place, but later that day when it was a bit darker and I had a few lights on in the house, was when I filmed the stalker holding a knife as he was walking up the stairs slowly and then got to the top of the landing. I did it a few times and they were all great, and it was just so I could pick which one I wanted. And I cleverly filmed it so the light glinted a bit on the knife so you could see that it was a knife, and your eye goes straight to that. And this could be part of the sped up bit, the bit where it starts to get more sinister, and to accompany classical music and stingers and sounds like that to the scenes. I then did the box room. This was a long scene. We had some trouble with the lighting, and the focus of the camera went funny in the zoom, but it got working. We worked our way around it. I set up the room. I rearranged the whole room because it's not used for anything. I put in a bed. I put in basically it's like a dresser unit, which could be a desk as well, and a chair was by it, and then a chair was there, and then I put your typical like deodorant, CDs, books, stationery, paper that you'd have in your room, but not much because he's quite lonely, doesn't have a lot in his house, and but his laptop and his camera. I took this inspiration actually from 1 Hour Photo, the film where a man is in a house that's cream, nothing's there apart from the pictures on his walls of the people he's followed. And so also taken from that, the other side of the wall in the room was pictures of the girls he'd printed off of Facebook or he'd taken himself. And so I cut some out of my friends, just girls that you could have had, and I put them on the wall. We did several different shots for this. We started just panning around the room from right to left, so you see him first and then you go to where the pictures are. We tried it the other way around, and then we did it so I was over his shoulder zooming on the Facebook he was on, which is coincidentally Ellis Andrews' Facebook, the girl who I'm using for my actress, as the one who's getting stalked. And he's zooming in on pictures of them, and I zoom and you see a picture of her smiling happily, and so he's stalking her at this point. And you don't see him for the entirety of this shot either. He's just lit by the light from his computer screen basically. And then I go up onto the wall where the pictures are, and I pan around them. I do quick takes of them, and this could be accompanied with like stinger sounds, with classical music, and to give that really creepy effect, because it's the scene where you see the stalker, and primarily the stalker. I then went outside, and the next scene I did was looking up at the house when he's out in the back garden down the alleyway, which is an alleyway where everyone who lives along my street can access, so he would be able to access it had he been an actual stalker. And the camera tilts up and zooms to see Ellis up in my room, in this room, doing normal stuff. Several shots of that worked out well, and then we headed to the restaurant, which I found when I took several pictures of different restaurants, and I found my desired restaurant, and I made sure that the shot was so that you couldn't see the restaurant name, and so I didn't need to go in and ask for their permission or anything. And I filmed her walking and then meeting, hugging, and then going. I filmed myself. I filmed myself going up, hugging, and going. And I filmed someone else going, hugging, and leaving again. And then move positions to then do a close-up of Ellis, the girl, and she says, "I'm sorry." No, not "I'm sorry. I had a good time. I'll call you." And then I track her walking away. I also then did the voiceover, which will accompany the box room. I didn't do that at that time, and I recorded her saying the final words were, "He was a bit disjointed and kind of sinister." So that will accompany when the pan is happening around the box room. I then did the running through the garden scene, where I did several shots for this. I did ones on the floor where you see her feet running on the gravel. I did one where I followed her as she ran. That made it jumpy, made it more sinister and scary, I thought. I did it fairly dark, so what I could still see, but it made it so it's not sort of like evening time. I did one when I just zoomed as she ran away. I did one as she was running and then looking back to see if the stalker was following her. And then the second one I did, I filmed her as she was looking from behind her shoulder, leaning against the alleyway, as she was like wondering what was there. And so I've now finished filming, and I've started to edit, so it's all coming well, really coming on nicely. But they're all the scenes that I filmed and how they went, and hope that they all, I aimed to make them all fit with the conventions of a thriller, a psychological thriller, with the stalker's conventions, with the cliches that were involved, and I ensured continuity, and lighting was correct so you could see it in the editing, and I also ensured that the sound was good quality so there was no noises in the background unless I wanted them to be.